Welcome to Get on the Arc. I'm Darren Conrad, your host. I'm here with Sam Anthony, the founder at yournews.com. So welcome, Sam.
Darren, good to be here, man.
Yeah, so it's exciting. I go to an event in Tennessee for Stay Awake America. There's a lot of patriots, a lot of truth seekers, and I met someone there, and they're like, introduced me to you, and you're doing some pretty big things with national, local news, and you have a platform. It's amazing. So share a little about your journey and what you're doing, and
I definitely will. And by the way, Darren, I started this a long time ago. This is not something I started as, hey, I got this idea, let's put it together, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a long time coming, and I will be the first one to tell you that I was not somebody that believed the media was lying. We're going back years ago, right? As a matter of fact, I when I woke up to all that stuff, it was when Trump got elected. It was in 2016. So, that's when I went, oh my God. I mean, they were blatantly obvious, right? They were just, he's a Russian asset. I mean, anything he did was a problem, and they were manufacturing things and just running with them. So that's when I said, what I do is actually really important. And now when you fast forward to today, the media is really the reason we're in the mess we're in today. And it's because they really haven't been telling the truth. They've been lying to the American public. And for me, when you think about the media, I mean, what is their job? They live here too. Their job is just to report the facts, right? Let the public decide. I would never think the media would ever lie to you intentionally. But then, come to find out, there's back in the 80s, there was 500 independent news outlets. Today, there's 6. They're all owned by 6 individual institutions own all the mainstream media. And so the reason we're in the mess we're in today is because we have a centralized news organization. That's basically what we have, where they're all parroting the same things. Everybody saw the Sinclair Broadcasting video where you had the 50 TV saying the same thing at the same time. So we all know somebody from corporate sent that information, but that's a problem. There's no more objective, independent news reporting. That's the issue. So that's when I realized, what we do is actually really important, because the world doesn't work with centralized news, Darren. I'm sure you would agree with that. I mean, where you have one person deciding what stories get run. I mean, that's ridiculous. So, what we do, so for your audience, we are a platform that looks like any news website, the Miami Herald, Chicago Tribune, they all look similar, but we're nationwide by zip code. We're in every city in the United States. We have a social component where the public can interact and share in the narrative locally and post their own news, views, opinions, and classifieds. And then the most important thing is, for news reporters that do this for a living, we have a monetization model that works very similar to YouTube. So, Darren, you're familiar with YouTube, and people get monetized, and so you have to reach a specific threshold, right? And then once you get X amount of, followers or people watching your show, then they turn on the revenue stream for you, and then you get a percentage of the ad revenue. And the way the ads work is you're going to make more money if you have 1,000 viewers than if you have 100 viewers. It's just that simple. So what we did was we mirrored that, and we created a monetization model for independent news reporters. It doesn't matter if it's a local news reporter, a state news reporter, or a national news. It's irrelevant. Where the content creator can submit their news freely, they can promote it on social media to the people that follow them. And I'll give you a perfect example. We're very broad in scope, so we have anything from local faith to national faith. We have travel, we have home and garden, we have food and wine, business, sports, politics, all kinds of sports. So I have people that do auto racing. Not only do they do written news, but they do podcasts for Formula One. That's it, right? And so what they do is they submit the content to me. There's an approval process. We don't fact check anything. The approval process is just to make sure it's going in the proper geography and the proper subject, because I'm going to tell you right now, Darren, if we didn't approve every article, I don't care what the story was. It could be somebody's Little League game. Everybody thinks it's national news front page, right? So they have to go to the proper category, because what we do is we sell the ads, and the guy that sells golf clubs doesn't want his content appearing around something that's business related, right? Or, or entertainment news. It's got to be around golf related products. So, they could submit their news and then they share it on their social media pages to the people who follow them, and they come here to consume it. And every click means they make money. It's calculated into their account. And this is how they, we're distribution and monetization, because at the end of the day, what does every content creator want, including yourself? Broader distribution and monetization. There isn't a third thing. That's it, right? So with the mainstream media going the way of the dinosaur, and by the way, Darren, I don't know if you saw this. I know Megyn Kelly announced it 2 weeks ago, and I'm like looking at my watch going, where the hell were you? The numbers came out from Adweek, and it was in January, February, March. It was mid-April. So what are we in now? Almost your first week in September. So 2 weeks ago, mid-August. So like 2-3 months later, she's behind. And I'm guessing it's because she probably saw me talk about it. Did you see the Adweek numbers, which showed cable news, the viewership for the first quarter by any chance?
I didn't, but I know it's
so, oh my God. So it was abysmal for networks. However, the news wasn't that. Even she said that, the news is this. When you sell advertising, the advertisers have a core focus of the age demographic between 25 to 54. It's the time when somebody's either getting married, getting out of school, starting a job. They're in consumption mode, right? All the way up to a specific time before they retire. So that's the audience that advertisers want to target. Over 3 months, take a guess at what viewership was on network TV over 3 months for that age demographic.
Less than 1 million.
500,000.
Wow. Yep.
Okay. Do you know how bad that is? Okay. So here's the thing. There's still a demand for news. It's just consumption has changed. So people tell me, well, the network TV is not going to make it because they're lying. It has nothing to do with it. They can be telling the truth. That age demographic's over on TikTok. They're over on Instagram. I mean, the point is they're on platforms consuming information differently. And that's the reason. So make no mistake about it. The money goes where the people are. Our conversation a little while ago about people operating and doing, the money goes where the people are. The end. Okay. If you have a platform like X that has 600 million users and over 1 billion people on it, the money's going there. Okay. I don't care how great your content is. There's 1 billion people over here. I need to reach them. And that's how this whole game works. So what's happening is the legacy media is not going to survive. And what's going to replace it is going to be a platform, a hyper-local news platform that has a social component where the public can interact and share in the narrative, and in essence, put the power of the press back in the hands of the people where it belongs. We're talking real people-powered journalism here. And it's going to have a monetization model like YouTube, where content creators can submit their work and share in the ad revenue. And it's going to be the marketplace, Darren, that decide who makes it and who doesn't. I mean, Darren, have you ever been to a YouTube channel and you said you saw the last posting was 3 years ago? Okay, why do you think that was? It's because the marketplace decided that that's not content that they wanted, right? For the most part. I mean, it could be, somebody just quit or died or whatever it is. But, if somebody's making $1 million a year on YouTube, you think they're just going to stop? No. Okay. So it's truly, it's market driven. And that's exactly what our platform does. The difference is that we do local news. So there's our niche. And as I showed you, for the audience, I showed them LinkedIn Sales Navigator. On Sales Navigator, there was 480,000 people in the United States that call themselves freelance journalists. Most of them are part of the downsizing of the legacy media. Keep in mind, many of those people that lost their jobs 5, 6, 7 years ago are now doing something else. So they're no longer freelance. They could be, welcome to McDonald's, man, take your order, right? They could be doing anything else. And then there's all these kids getting out of school. And we're talking journalism school, the Columbia School of Journalism, wherever, and nobody's hiring. Last week, I had 2 conversations with 2 young girls that have been out of school for 1.5 years and have still not got a job. Nobody's hiring. So where it's all going to go is platforms. This is kind of easy, right? And so it's all going to platforms with monetization, social component where all the public can contribute to the narrative. And the good news is that this is what's going to replace the legacy media. But the difference is, and I'm going to tell you this because you know it's true. Do you remember when Amy Robach was going to run the Epstein thing?
Yeah.
Okay, and all of a sudden there was a phone call, and next thing you know, the whole thing was nixed, right? If you don't know this, I'm going to tell you it because I learned this through journalists. And then I had Alex Newman. I asked him when we were on a show. He goes, "Yeah, it's true. If you're an investigative journalist for a newspaper, and you've been working on a story for a year, and it's big, right? I mean, this is going to impact the community. Maybe it could be, something that everybody wants to know about." When you bring that into your editor, it goes before a review board. Did you ever even hear of this before? Because I never did. Okay, so there's something called a review board. The review board looks at the story and they decide whether it's going to run or not. And then Alex says to me, because I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You mean to tell me you got a good story and it's all factual, it's all legitimate, they don't have to run it?" Well, it could be somebody's brother, it could be a good friend, could be a big advertiser, right? Can't lose them. God forbid it's Pfizer. We can't tell people they're killing stuff or killing people, right? We need that money. In addition, Alex went further. He goes, "Sam, you're an employee of the newspaper," which means they could take the story, completely reverse the whole thing, and give you the opposite impact. It's not yours, it's theirs. You work for them. I went, "Are you kidding me?" So on our platform, people sign up to become citizen journalists. They're the journalist, they're the editor, and they're the review board. If they say it goes, it goes. We're just the platform. And I explain this to people because they're like, "You're not a news organization." I go, "Look, Darren, if you and I built a football stadium, can you play in the NFL?
No.
Can you? Okay, well, neither can I. Okay. But we own the stadium. We bring the teams in, which are the draw. You want to know what we do? We sell all the tickets and we sell all the concessions inside. I just own the stadium, right? I bring in the content creators, which are the draw, and we sell all the tickets and all the hot dogs and the beers and the Cokes. I mean, that's what we do. So I'm not in the news business. I'm in the platform business. That's the business I'm in. So people tell me, "How do you fact check everything?" We don't. The only thing a journalist has is their integrity. And the moment they lose it, the public will let us know that guy's lying. And if we find out it's true, we just get rid of them.
Right.
A true marketplace.
Yeah, and you probably noticed that, since people aren't watching the legacy mainstream media, the viewership has dropped considerably.
Oh God, it's not good. No, they have a limited lifespan. As a matter of fact, the only thing keeping them afloat right now, about 80% of their money comes from pharmaceutical ads. So I don't know if RFK Jr. can pull those. They're definitely a conflict of interest. I'm just going to tell you right now that if you had a problem and you went to a doctor and the doctor wrote you a prescription, would you question the prescription if you didn't see it on TV? No. You just say, "What is it?" He'd tell you what it is. You go get it, right? They already have distribution. The distribution is the pharmaceutical reps all across the globe that are distributing their product. When they go into R&D for a product, that's where they spend all the money. Once they get it approved, then they stamp things out for fractions of a penny. So they become extremely profitable. They only spend money on television and radio to limit the liability when their drugs go bad. Okay? Imagine making something for a tenth of a cent and selling it for $80 a pill. Okay? There's a lot of margin to work with here. Okay, a lot of margin. So all they do is give up 5 or 10% to the media to make sure that the media becomes dependent on them and they can control the narrative. I mean, look, this is why none of the news outlets were talking about the COVID vaccine and all the problems that were happening.
Right.
There you go. So it's basically paid bribery. Right. If you talk about that, we pull our budget. Well, if you pull the budget, I go out of business. Looks like I own the network.
Right.
And that's it. So they don't need to do it. It's controlled opposition is what it is. Smart on their part.
Right. And so yournews.com is the solution to getting the truthful news, or unedited news, or not Mockingbird news, but
no. So this is people powered press. So it doesn't matter if you worked for a news organization before. Just, look, it's like, not every cop is bad, right? Not every doctor is bad. Okay. Most people are genuinely good. Most of these news reporters really want to report the facts, but their hands are tied and they're not able to do it. So for us, it used to be the barrier to entry was you had to get a job at a news organization. Okay. Well, now there's no barrier to entry. So we'll take somebody that's never been in the news business. Maybe it's a soccer mom that, is popular in the community that goes to all the city council meetings and the school board meetings. I mean, it's not that hard to go to a school board meeting, take notes. If you can't write, you could run it through AI and have it write you a story. And once you get the story written the way you want it, you could push that out and share it to the community. And you could start becoming the go-to person for local news. I mean, all YouTube provides for you is the ability for you to be a broadcaster. If there was no YouTube or Rumble or any of these means, you wouldn't be able to do it because you don't have the technology. They just have the tools. What we've done is we've created the tools for everybody to become a local news reporter. Make sense?
Yeah.
That's it. So the difference obviously between us and YouTube is we do the written content, but we also do audio and video. So we do all three. So because news is either audio, video, or print. That's how it comes. And so, we just happen to be all three, but now we drill down to the local. So where, YouTube is not going to report on the city council meeting in one city, right? Or if they did, it's very difficult to find. In our case, it's just politics news for that one city. So it's what we are is an information aggregator, like every news organization on planet Earth. And we're bringing all the country's information under one umbrella and creating one uniform media. The void I fill is the void of all the people that are displaced and have nowhere to go. Kind of like YouTube was the 10,000-pound gorilla, right? Still is the 10,000-pound gorilla. Did you know Rumble was in existence since 2013? Did you know that? Okay, nobody does because they were nobodies. But in 2020, when YouTube kicked everybody off, they needed someplace to go. Rumble was just there and filled the void. Now everybody knows who they are. And in 2 years, they have a market cap of $3 billion, whatever it is. It bounces between 2.5 and 4 billion, but it's that all happened in a relatively short period of time. It's because they filled a void, which, by the way, the void is very small. Remember, Rumble has 250,000 channels. YouTube has 51 million. Who do you think's bigger? Okay. And like I always say, if YouTube decided to take everybody back, everyone would go. Rumble would collapse. They wouldn't be able to handle because that's where all the money is. It's where all the people are and all the money is. All the ad revenue goes where the people are. I'd rather be where 1 billion people are than where 1 million people are. It's just how it works. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the legacy media collapse is going to give birth to citizen-powered journalism, where we put the power of the press back in the hands of the people. That's the most important thing, Darren. So stories that never would have saw the light of day are going to come forward. And I see it every day. I see it in like places like Arizona where I have content creators that are putting out information that would never go live on any radio or TV station, or with the Arizona AZ Central, right? Arizona Republic. So that's the next generation of news and what's coming. And it's actually a good thing because now stories that get squashed that never see the light of day will never be squashed.
Awesome.
Okay, so when you shed light on things, what happens? Okay, and that's the point. So as our platform grows and gets bigger, which, by the way, right now we have 5,000 something odd news reporters, 5,100 and change, something like that. So as we grow and expand and get to 10,000, and by the way, there's 20,000 cities. Remember, I'm barely covering 20% of the country right now. Okay, so as we grow and scale, you get to 10,000 and 20,000 and 50,000. I mean, you're the 10,000-pound gorilla at that point. We had this conversation. There's more people that can have an X account than are actually news reporters, right? So there's different values on the platforms based on that. News reporters have a higher value than everybody because they're the draw. Everybody wants news, and so they're coming here to consume it.
Right. So you've built the stadium.
Yes.
You're opening the doors. You're allowing people to to post their stories or their news or their articles on your platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but what were you going to say?
Oh, so guide us, for the soccer mom or for the anyone that's a journalist that wants to put their content out there.
Sure.
Guide us through the process.
So the domain is yournews.com. And if you'd like, I could show people if you want me to share. It's up to you. Yeah. So let me share screen. Hold on. Okay. So tell me when you see what I'm looking at.
Got it.
All right. So when you log into yournews.com, what it does is geolocate you. Some people block it. So if you're not in, you'll see the city name at the top. If it's not your city, click change your location and enter your zip code. It'll take you to your city. Our website looks like a news website, and I'm going to mouse over national news. There's all your categories. So if you like golf, you go to read golf. If you like auto racing, you read auto racing. It's just that simple. If you want Second Amendment, politics, top stories is the front page, which is what we're looking at here. It looks like a news website. In addition, we do multimedia. Everything here that you see, these are all podcasters on our platform, and we have hundreds of them. Way more news reporters, though, by the way, local written content. Now, at the bottom of the page, there's something that says be a citizen journalist, which I'm clicking. There's a couple of videos you could watch, and then there's an application right here. It says become a citizen journalist. You fill this application out. It comes to us. Once you get approved, you get an email notification with instructions on how to use your dashboard. And by the way, I didn't show you this. Every single content creator, let me go to, I'll do auto racing, has an author page. So let me see what this is. Hold on a second. Okay, so that's Power Signs with Andretti. Let's see. So this story was written by somebody named Derek Vance right here. Well, Derek is also at the bottom of the page here. I could either click this or click his name as soon as I find it. And this is going to take you to his author page, which would be like somebody's Rumble page or YouTube page or something like that. So this is all the articles Derek has submitted on our platform. But what happens is he does auto racing news, which is not local news. It's national news. So his content gets distributed all across the United States, but he has a central hub where all his stuff is. Kind of like if you were on Rumble, and I'll go multimedia, and I'll go to, your news videos here. So this is Wendy Bell right here. And I'm going to click, it says Brock Schneider because that's who, that's the partner. But this is Wendy Bell Radio. If you went to her Rumble channel, it would look identical to this. Isn't that cool?
Wow, yeah, that's cool.
So it's the same thing, right? I mean, this is her personal channel on our network, but everybody has one. But the content, actually, the last story in comes in to the main feed. And this is the main feed right here. Watch here. It's all about the Benjamins. So all of this news comes in all over the United States. It's localized. So this is my market and I'm in local news. 4 police arrest man armed with machete. But if I were to go to Chicago, you're going to see the national news, which is the same. The only thing different is going to be the local news. And you notice it says Chicago across the top. So this is Chicago brace for professional National Guard and ICE surge tensions rise across Illinois. And I'm going to scroll down the page. This is all Chicago local news. That's how it works. We do state news too. We do regional. We do national. It's wherever the stuff is relevant. And all of this stuff happens all over the United States. So let me stop sharing so I can go back to you. Okay. So anybody interested in becoming a citizen journalist would go to the bottom of the page and click become a citizen journalist and fill out our application. And once we get it, they'll get email instructions. And by the way, who knows the local community better than the local people who live there?
Right on.
Right? I mean, who do you want to listen to? Somebody who wasn't at the city council meeting or somebody who was actually there?
Right.
Okay. And that's the point. So the game is changing. You don't need to you go to journalism school. We have just like how many people on YouTube were actually work for ABC or NBC or CNN or Fox? Like almost none. Okay. So how could they be broadcasters if they didn't go to broadcast journalism school?
Right.
Which makes me wonder, is journalism school going to even be around in the future?
Right.
I mean, why? I could be a journalist right now, and it's not that hard. Okay. It really comes down to who's on your show and what kind of questions you need to ask, and what's compelling. Why do people want to listen to this? And then it comes down to marketing your show to build your audience. And so that's what I tell people. The bigger your social media grows, the more money you're going to make. The future of news is going to be all about compelling content with social media following for distribution.
Yeah.
With multiple channels, X, Facebook, wherever you could get it. So that's where it's all headed. We just happen to be the only player in our space. And that void we fill is literally millions of people that don't have a place to go. Yeah, you see that.
I love what you're doing. And you're also opening it up so that the people can invest or be part of owning this.
Of course. So, my background is capital raising, investment banking. We've had this conversation before, but this is all I've ever done for a living. And normally products like mine are funded through Silicon Valley. And we're not a public company, we're a private company. And so you have to go through accredited investors when you're doing what's called a private placement, which represents 1% of the population. So to me, the reason we're in the mess we're in today is because you have, the media owned by 6 institutions. So if I were to come to you, Darren, and say, by the way, we're the product that's going to replace the legacy media, and by the way, we're funded by BlackRock and Vanguard, you tell me I was crazy, right? Because therein lies the problem. So to me, if we're really people-powered press and we're putting the press in the hands of the people, shouldn't the people own the product, Darren? Right. So we're doing something called an equity crowdfund, which I didn't show anybody, but at the bottom of the page where you click become a citizen journalist, there's something that says invest, which takes you to a whole nother page where you can learn about what we do. But to us, we opened it up to everybody. We're now, I don't care if you have $200 or $200,000, it doesn't matter. You invest what you want. The interest is in getting the people to own the product, not the institutions. So we're doing a small raise right now. 1.2 million. We've raised just under 400 grand, followed up by another one, which is going to be 5 million, followed up by most likely an IPO. I do have choices. So it would either be a $75 million Reg A, which I doubt I'm going to do, but most likely be a public offering. But for that, you will get institutional money because that's going to be done through a brokerage firm. And when you do that, you have to make sure. This is my concern. I don't want institutions to have control of the product. So I don't want this product to be skewed in any way. I want to make sure that people have the ability to report the news that's factual and not be suppressed. So the only way to do it is you can't do it on a round like this. You can't do it on the $5 million round because you signed their paperwork. When you're getting ready to go public, we talked about this earlier, the value of a user is extremely important here because if you looked at Rumble has, call it a $3 billion market cap. I think it's $2.5 billion right now, but 2.5-3 billion, and they have 250,000 channels, which means there's 250,000 content creators. The way you find out the value of a user is you divide the user base into the market cap, and that'll tell you each individual. So to make it simple, if you had a market cap of $1 million and you had 1 million users, everybody's worth $1. Okay. In this case, they're worth around 11 or 12,000. Coincidentally, so is YouTube. Same thing. 50 million users, $550 billion valuation. It is public, but it's part of Alphabet, which owns 160 companies that make up that $2.4 trillion market cap. So the value of every user, Darren, is somewhere between 10 and 12 grand, depending on the market conditions. And the reason I'm telling you that is because currently we have over 5,000 users, which means the actual value of the company is worth 50 or 60 million. Okay. So we're doing an offering at a $20 million valuation because what does everybody want? They want a deal. So I discounted the price because I'm raising very little bits of money. $1 million is not big money. If I was raising 20 million, it'd be different. It's $1 million. What I'm going to do with that money, that money fuels it. And it basically, imagine if you had the fastest race car on the road, but it was out of gas. You know how many races you win? None.
Yeah.
Okay. So but now if you're filled up with gas, I'm good for the next year and a half. I'm not going to get smaller. I'm going to get bigger. Okay. Every day we get bigger. So that user base over the next year and a half, I'm going to grow to around probably in the next year, probably 20, 25,000 people. In the next 2 to 3, it'll be more like 50,000. So at 50,000, you're worth 500 or 600 million. That's when you go public. Because now when the institutions come in and you're selling 10% of the company, they don't have enough control.
Right.
That's the key. So you don't do it at the lower levels. You let the people own it. Okay. This would be like if Zuckerberg sold the first round of funding to just the people at $1, and then he let the institutions in on the high end. That's not the way it works. It works, as a matter of fact, it works the exact opposite, where all the big money people get in at the cheap price and all the public gets in when it goes public. The exact opposite. So I'm flipping the switch and doing it the exact opposite. So that's what we're doing. So for people that are interested in investing, all you got to do is go to yournews.com and go down to the bottom and click invest. It'll take you to a page where you can read everything about what we're doing. There'll be, there's a video in there that explains what we're doing. If you like what you hear, you could spend $200 or anywhere in between. We just want distribution. That's it. What I do is inevitable. It's irrelevant. It's going to happen whether I do it or not. So this is the money that fuels it. But the people buying this round will be the ones that make the most money.
Well, yournews.com. Sam, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your message.
Man.
If you're watching, go to yournews.com. You can register, sign up as a journalist, and you can also sign up and invest in the business.
That's right.
It's exciting, man. I'm excited what you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on your show. I had a great time. We spoke a lot before we got on. So
yeah, man. Yeah. Great to know you. I'll catch up with you again later, but thank you for getting on the Ark, and thank you for watching Get on the Ark.
Oh, no worries. Are you going to hang up, or are you going to stay on after we?
I'm gonna stop. I've got an exit video. I'm just gonna play, and then we can catch up later.
Okay. All you want me to hold on, or you want me to? Okay.
All right. Thanks again for watching.